beyond the junkyard.
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
You see, this is the kind of treatment I get for being away for 2 weeks. I now have to do this on my own. I think this is hazing. I don't enjoy it. I think this is I got set up for failure. This was not my own doing. This is like the rookie coming out on his first game in the NHL again, where he has to do the solo lap. That's me right here. I just got hazed. I want everybody to know that piece of garbage over here on the side, yeah, it's all his fault. He did this on purpose because I was gone for 2 years. Hey, welcome on in, everybody. I'll do his job for him.
No. I'm back. How's it going,
You're
everyone?
not better than ever. You're not Eric Bischoff. Don't even try it.
Welcome to the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. It wouldn't be an episode if there wasn't some form of technical difficulty.
It wasn't me this time, so that's how you know this is messed up.
Right. We're back and better than ever. We have our whole team back again. It's a beautiful day. We got some all in prediction numbers and an updated record of pay-per-view numbers for the 2024 calendar year. And I think it's going to be safe to say I didn't do so hot. If I remember myself, this pay-per-view, I missed quite a few matches just off of the top of my recollection there. But before we jump in, you haven't seen him in a few weeks. It's K-Dog, and he said I hazed him. My internet just freaking sucks, which makes no sense. I'm sitting right next to the modem, so I don't know what's going on with it. How have you been, my friend?
First of all, the hazing was not planned. The T-shirt collaboration that we were wearing was not planned either. But hey, here we are. That's how it works. Sometimes good minds just think alike. What a crazy 2 weeks the K-Dog house has been. The missus, the better half, had surgery to remove a carcinoid tumor in her inner linings of her small intestine. So she got, if and when she hears this, she'll probably want to smack me for giving away too much details, but it's okay. Basically cut out the entire right side of her colon. So the right side of her colon is out. Appendix are out. There was apparently an umbilical hernia from when she had our daughter 10 years ago, or almost 10 years ago. That doc fixed that. She has another hernia, but he didn't fix that. It was going to be a little bit too complicating. I'm probably spewing way too much. But recovery is going well. The tumor was cut out. She had a doctor's appointment today to remove the staples. Thank God I wasn't there because I'm squeamish. They had like staples in her belly button. Yeah, not fun. You can attest to that. You've had staples removed in your head, so that is. But recovery is going well. We do need to meet with an oncologist soon, just because the doctor cut out 22 lymph nodes from her to test to make sure that they were good. 2 of the 22 came back abnormal. So the doctor did the surgery said, hey, you go to an oncologist, see if they think that you're good. 2 out of 22 is not much, but obviously that could mean that something may or may not have been going on. So we're going to leave that to the pros. Hopefully 2 out of 22, that seems like good odds in my opinion. If you say 2 out of 22 in baseball, that's absolutely horrible. So I think that we'll, 1 out of 11, split it down a little bit further. Hopefully that means that it is good. So we'll meet with the oncologist, knocking on wood, praying and hoping that all comes out of that very well. But recovery part, we are doing good. We are at home, resting, trying to do all that good stuff. Went to a concert last night to test our limits. We had bought tickets for this concert for our daughter's birthday. It was going to be her first ever concerts to see Imagine Dragons. Massive amounts of people. It was the loudest concert I've ever been to in my life, and not because of the crowd, but because of the sheer noise of the audio. Good Lord. I mean, this thing was loud. Had some fun. It was hotter than Hades, but overall, we did well. We did good. We're happy. You don't call it a thing. I think we're just a little nervous about that, but it'll work itself out. But a very long game, sir. Things are going okay. Slow down a little bit. We're on the road to recovery, but we're doing well. So all is going much better in the household over here. In the 2 weeks that I have been absent, how in the hell are you doing, sir?
It's been a pretty nice couple weeks. I'm doing pretty good. Fall classes started back up for my master's program, and Jesus Lord have mercy, I hate accounting. Let me just tell you this. I wish if anybody wants to take this class for me, I will sure as hell pay for it, because I might fail it if I do it myself, because good Lord, I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Don't ask me for it. I don't do math.
And yeah, that's just about it. Work and school and AEW. That's about all I have time to focus on. And my day-to-day business.
Gonna have to start focusing on something else here starting next week. NFL, baby. Football is back.
Football is back. That's a good thing. And speaking of football being back, we are a StubHub affiliate partner. That is the way. You set me up perfectly for this. Thank you, my friend. We are a StubHub affiliate partner. Link in the description below, and you, my friend, can get your StubHub tickets and help support the podcast. I was having issues with getting the affiliate link to work last week. So if y'all have issues clicking on it, let me know, and I'll resend you the link. But you're going to want to go to these games anyway. Might as well help support your local wrestling podcast. JunkyardMediaGroup.com is your one-stop shop to all things Junkyard Media Group. And
didn't see the missus was back there. She made a quick cameo, so you can see.
Sorry.
Things are going well. I didn't mean to cut you off.
She's about to come over there and strangle you for sharing too much of her personal information.
Should be all right.
But anyway, yeah, junkyardmediagroup.com. That's where you can find all of our social media links, all of the podcast links. And you want to buy this shirt, the link is there as well, junkyardmediagroup.com. We are a WWE shop partner as well. Link in the description there to support us there. And then if you go to w.gg and use the code Beyond the Yard, you can get 10% off of your energy drink and powder purchase and help support us that way as well. Let's get talking actual content. I think we've did enough housekeeping to get people to leave the live chat and lose concentration. But man, what a pay-per-view we had on Sunday afternoon on the East Coast. During church on the West Coast, I hope you weren't streaming All In at church. Though that would be hilarious.
You live in Hawaii.
But yes, it was a really good pay-per-view. I still think Revolution, just because we were there, was a better pay-per-view than All In. But All In, it hit on just about every level. And let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about: the debut of Ricochet. What an awful way, in my opinion, to debut this man, have him have his 10 seconds of spotlight, and then just kind of disappear for the remaining of that gauntlet match. man, I don't understand. If you're going to debut the man, like, have him win. That's just my thing. Or have him be a bigger piece of the gauntlet match. He just kind of had a small piece of that gauntlet match. He got a pretty decent pop coming out. But man, I was hoping for bigger and better things for the debut of Ricochet. What say you, my friend?
I thought that was fine to debut him in that way. I mean, could he attack somebody in the middle of the match or after a match and debut that way? Sure. But I think that not every debut has to be post, flamboyant, flashy type of thing. I think it was fine for what it did. And then he got the main event match on Dynamite this past Wednesday. So I think, okay, showcase what he can do. And it was a good to recognize. And I think it was fine for what it did. What about the return of Nigel McGuinness to the ring? That was kind of cool.
I'm going to be honest.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. When his entrance music hit, I was like, man, this sounds familiar. Like I've heard it before. And let me tell you, the magical powers of Mariah May, one kiss and the man's back in the ring.
Yes.
Yep.
And
apparently it's the kiss that brought Oasis back on tour, because there we go. They decided, Nigel McGuinness shows up. He plays our music. Now let's just go on tour one more time. But yeah, I think it was cool to see Nigel back in the ring. Obviously, I hope maybe at some form or shape of time we can get a payoff to Nigel's absolute hatred for Bryan Danielson. But we'll see if that ever comes to fruition there. At the end of the day, though, Christian Cage wins the gauntlet match, and I don't understand this move. Maybe you can help explain it to me. Maybe.
Heel doing heel work. Maybe that's a little bit of the thought process behind it. Was Christian was hell-bent on getting the AEW World Title in some capacity, and this was his chance to do it. He took his opportunity, and the almost turn from Luchasaurus / Killswitch. They're almost at the very end of the match, worked out, but I think that's going to lead to Christian versus Danielson or whomever, and lead to the turn of Luchasaurus back to Luchasaurus from Killswitch, and that kind of starts that feud.
So, real quick, obviously Danielson, everyone knows, he wins the AEW World Championship. And I posted this in the Discord. Obviously, go to junkyardmediagroup.com and you can join the Discord there. And the link's there for you to join, and you can join this conversation. But last night, Danielson on Dynamite, basically, it's like, I have an open challenge next week at All Out, and Jack Perry is, I guess, accepting it. And I guess we're getting Danielson versus Jack Perry in Chicago. Great move. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. I want to mention it, but I put it in there, and I actually kind of agree with what Wavy D had to say on this. The AEW World Title scene is very confusing right now. Very confusing right now, because Danielson has the belt. He's fighting Jack Perry, who just claimed an open challenge. Meanwhile, Christian Cage has a cash-in at any point in time, kind of like the Money in the Bank briefcase, I guess you could say, contract for an AEW title shot. But also, Darby Allin has an opportunity at Grand Slam to get a world title opportunity. I don't like the fact that there's so much intermingling of characters in the world title scene. I don't know, because can Darby and Danielson put on a good match? Yes. Can Darby and Jack Perry put on a good match? Yes. We saw at All In with the casket match that they put on a pretty decent show. Are there storylines that can go between both characters? Yes, but then there's the Christian Cage factor, which I guess is the point of the gauntlet anyway. But it just seems very confusing where they're going with the world title. And I don't know, man, I was a little upset Danielson won that fucking thing on Sunday. If I can be completely honest, I really wanted Swerve to continue. But we're going to get, was it a steel cage match at All Out? Hopefully it's the fruition of his feud with Adam Page, and they can move on to bigger and better things. But man, am I the only one that thinks that the title scene's just a little convoluted right now, or am I crazy, or what do you think?
No, I think it's definitely a little messy, but it's something to look forward to in a way of like, okay, well, Darby has this opportunity in right about 3 weeks' time at Grand Slam. Who's going to challenge him? Jack Perry? Obviously, they've got a feud going on. That would make sense. Or maybe Danielson continues his reign and he faces Darby. And then you have Christian in the background as well, of course. I think this is going to lead to, this is totally my opinion, I don't have any insight, I have nothing like that, it's just a total guess. I think this is going to lead to two ways. Either it's just going to be Danielson and Swerve again at Wrestle Dream, and two native Washingtonians facing off in the main event for the world title, and Swerve wins it back. And that would be kind of Danielson's final full-time match, because that's his biggest thing, is he's retiring from full-time competition. He will still wrestle periodically and sporadically. Or maybe a triple threat, fatal four-way, Swerve, Danielson, maybe Hangman in the mix, Jack Perry, things like that. Or I could see Danielson beating Perry either clean or by way of Darby interfering. That leads to Darby and Danielson at Grand Slam, Perry causing Darby to lose, and then we get either Perry, Darby again at Wrestle Dream, or we get a fatal four-way or a triple threat between those three, and even Darby comes out, a Washingtonian still comes out of the world title. Which, again, kind of to your point that maybe it definitely is a messy scene right now, and then you have Christian in the background. I think we kind of all see where that's going to go. It's probably going to go where Christian cashes in middle of the match, and then Luchasaurus attacks him, causing the split in the turn.
No, I think. Well, I'm sorry, I interrupted you there for a minute, but I think I told you this on Sunday when Christian Cage won. Like, the only way this makes sense to me is if they pulled like a drawback to when Luchasaurus won his contract and basically handed it over to Christian to have Christian win. Was it the TNT title? I think it was.
Yeah, it was at World's End.
Yeah. And so, like, if they pulled that reverse card and where, like, Luchasaurus signs the contract, Christian Cage goes out to try and cash it in, and the referee says, you didn't sign this, somebody else did, and it's Luchasaurus, and that's how the turn, like, that's the only way, like, if they're going that long storytelling. But then again, I don't feel like you can, it's not a good feel for me personally to do this with your world title, to have this kind of a gimmicky feel. Like, it made sense with the TNT championship, because it's kind of like I know AEW doesn't like this phrase, but it's kind of a mid-card title. It's not your world championship, and you can kind of have those fun, silly, gimmicky storylines. But with your world title, like, you want to present this as like the biggest thing that you can get, not something that you luck your way into or anything like that. Like MJF fought his ass off to get it, and yeah, he's like this tweener, whatever at that point. but like when he held the belt, it was like you were going to go through hell to get this belt. And like right now, it just feels like anybody and their mom can just win a gauntlet match and get an opportunity to win a title opportunity. It just feels like something that should be more reserved for a mid-card scene, not like your world championship, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't totally disagree with that. It does present a very messy situation going into the fall, something that you probably don't want to have. But I think that either coming into Wrestle in a little over a month from now, picture probably a lot clearer, hopefully.
Right.
I would definitely say by Full Gear in November that we'll be kind of back to even Steven. But in a way, it's like, hey man, it's a world title. A lot of people want to go after it. A lot of people have opportunities lined up. It's a good way to kind of present the fact that there's still some big matches going to happen for the world title. But yeah, you would prefer it to be a little bit more versus kind of what we got right now.
Great. And it would make a lot more sense to say like, well, we're doing this to advertise our big shows. If you actually advertise the big shows, we don't get any advertising for Grand Slam. We don't get any advertising for All Out. We don't, except in London, All In was like in the States, like you had to like watch the show every week, follow AEW on social media, and like make sure you read their page because they're not advertising properly, in my opinion, for the way that they're kind of building the storyline. But I'm gonna let it play out. I trust that Tony Khan knows what, and all the writers know what they're doing with this. But hopefully, as we get closer to the end of the new year, we can kind of have a really well-defined, clean scene of what's going on for the world title. Moving on, Will Ospreay comes out to that really awesome Assassin's Creed like intro. I thought that was really cool, and I thought AEW was dying. I wouldn't think Assassin's Creed would want to partner up with a dying company to promote their new video game that comes out in November, but man, they sure as hell put a lot of time into that intro for Will Ospreay, and he comes back and reclaims the AEW International Championship from MJF due to a distraction by a returning Daniel Garcia, who put on a scathing, maybe his best promo of his young AEW career last night in AEW. He went toe-to-toe with MJF. And I'm excited for that match at All Out. And right now it seems like the All Out card is going to be a sleeper pay-per-view because every match that they have on the show right now seems like it's going to be really good. Other things at All Out, Chris Jericho lost a Hook due to interference by Taz. He put Brian Keith in the Taz mission, and Jericho tapped out to the Red Rum, which is the Taz mission, but they call it the Red Rum for Hook. In the center of the ring, Jericho puts Hook over the FTW title. And there's a hot commodity in the media room after the show because Tony Khan came to fought for that belt. It's not an official AEW belt, but according to Tony Khan, it's not a joke belt either. Don't mention that it's a joke belt, or else he'll do everything short of just cuss you out in the media room. But Hook has it back. I don't know what the future plans for the FTW belt will be, but hopefully we can just get like some time away from Chris Jericho for some time. Let him reinvigorate the Jericho Vortex for the 1 millionth time and come up with something that's a little bit more entertaining, in my opinion. Anyways, I didn't see Meltzer's ratings, but Wavy D is saying that Dave Meltzer gave Tony Storm and Mariah May 1.5 stars. That is wild. I thought that was actually a really good match. It was the best of the women's matches, for sure. I don't.
Oh God.
Let's talk about this for a minute, though. Why did that match go on second?
When they put up the picture of the match, and I'm like, this match better not be second right now, and it was. I do not understand that. I understand it from the star perspective that Mercedes and Britt were going to be third from Maine. Right. Yeah, they were third from Maine, right?
Yes.
So I get it that star power wise have Britt and Mercedes go on close to last, but Mariah and Tony should have been either a match or two before that. I don't understand the thought process from that. And that, like you said, that was the better of the women's matches on the show, and arguably the most build of, probably the most build of the entire card. So yeah, I did not agree at all with placement of that match. But they definitely delivered, and I saw that on Twitter X somewhere about the 1.5 star, and I'm like, surely that's not true. But I'm not entirely sure what. I thought usually he does his ratings about a week after the shows, but I don't truly follow all that, but I wasn't 100% sure as if that was truly real or not.
If he did give it 1.5 stars, man, that's wild, because, like, in terms of the match itself, it was very, like, I was very impressed with what the match that they put on. Mariah really delivered, I think, in the ring. The slap of her mother, the whole just completion of the story, that
was wild.
it was just for a company that people say can't really tell a lot of story, like, they completed that story really well. I was honestly really shocked that Mina Shirakawa, though was shown in the crowd, didn't have any interference with the match. But, like, the match was fantastic. Like, I would have probably put it as, like, the second best match of the entire night, behind Danielson and Swerve, and maybe the third, because MJF and Ospreay put on a good match as well. But comparing that match to Britt and Mercedes, like, man, I would have put Britt in that spot, because her first or second really big, like, match from her return, we're not 100% sure she's going to be able to deliver, and then to put her towards the end of the show when the crowd is probably already gassed anyway, needs to rebuild their energy. And then, man, Britt wasn't terrible, but she wasn't great in that match. And I think that's to be expected from someone who's had all the medical problems that she's had the past 10 months. So it's like, I'm not going to blame her for being like I've seen people saying, like, she's the worst wrestler that they've ever seen, when, like, I don't know, Goldberg exists, or Ryback exists. Like, I mean, there's there's a lot worse wrestlers than Britt Baker, but I mean, Eva Marie exists. But, like, I don't know. It's just, you put Britt in a really bad spot. One, a match with a really high build character, and it's her basically return match on the biggest show of the year, in a really big spot. Like, I don't know. It's just like you put a lot of pressure, I think, on that match, especially with it being essentially the third to last match, almost co-main. Like, it's going to get a lot of press that way. I'm trying to think of any other major talking points leaving All In. On the pre-show, Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii beat Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. Hated that decision, by the way. And I think the stipulation that was picked for the CMLL Women's Championship is a Chicago street fight, which that's a terrible stipulation. If you could have any match in the world to do a street fight, I mean, I get it. Willow loves her street fights, but could have been a little bit more creative. After that, Saraya on the pre-show comes out, says she ain't leaving until she gets her Wembley moment, and we get a returning Jamie Hayter. That's exciting. I'm excited to see what we can get with her in the near future. I think it was just funny that we got that big return on the pre-show, and half the audience probably wasn't watching. I would have put that on the main card over Chris Jericho, to be honest with you. But, and yeah, man, I don't know. We got a new subscription, Resident Evil AMC. Thank you so much for subbing to us. That's great to see. Thank you. Share this, follow along, and comment. We'll share your comments on there. Any other big points that you really noticed from All In that I haven't covered?
No, I think you pretty much got it all. Well, I thought it was really interesting that Yuta, Claudio, and Pac are now the trios champions. I was not expecting that coming out of the pay-per-view.
So
I thought honestly that
the rumor was, and I read this on Monday, I think, was that it was supposed to be Death Triangle as the trios championships. Obviously leans to show that Lucha Bros weren't on the card. If they were supposed to be the champions, they're probably heading to the Fed. But to have Yuta and Claudio as part of that tag team, kind of weird. I mean, I know Pac has done some stuff with Blackpool Combat Club before. And then you add in what Moxley did on Dynamite last night. Like, it makes it seem like they're like growing the Blackpool Combat Club or something. I don't know exactly what's going on. But yeah, that's an interesting thing to have Pac as part of the trios title with several members of BCC.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It's just kind of two quick points from the All In show, but from last week's show between you and Wavy D. Good show, by the way. I did write down the predictions because I had to go back and listen to the show to get the predictions for you and him. But something that, while it doesn't count for who got the match right or wrong, it counts for brownie points and style points. So Wavy D correctly predict that Daniel Garcia would be interfering in that match between MJF and Ospreay. And you called Sting appearing in the Darby Perry match, and then I believe you also called Perry using that line of "Go Grimy River." I believe he said that. If not during the match, post match. And then Wavy D almost got the prediction right with Perry setting the coffin on fire after the match. He got close, but he didn't do it. I just took some of that stuff away. I thought that was kind of cool how that you guys kind of predicted things from happening. But yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. Good to see Jamie Hayter come back. Didn't love it on the pre-show, but she's kind of in this feud now with Saraya, so that gives her something to come back to. I'm sure they're gonna.
So it
makes sense. Out, but
it makes sense that she came back with Saraya, because Saraya, I believe, was the last feud that she was in before she got injured. So it makes sense from a storyline perspective. I just didn't like where they placed the story on the show. You mentioned it. Let's go over these pay-per-view prediction numbers. You have them written down. How did we do for All In last Sunday?
So there were two pre-show matches that we did not go over because, well, they don't like to announce those until the day before or Friday, after we've already done our show.
One of those pre-show matches they announced like 10 minutes before the pre-show. So
the 16-man tag, yes.
So
we didn't have a chance to do that one, and then we did not do the what was the other pre-show match that was on the card? We had the mixed tag match. We did that one, but we didn't do the 16-man tag or the 8. I guess was there a 6-man or 8-man tag after that? 8-man tag.
8-man tag.
Yeah. So we did not predict either one of those. So take those 2 off. We predicted 10. Wavy D at a modest 6-4. Yours truly had to not be perfect. I did not go perfect. I was very ashamed of myself. I went 8-2, and then
oh man,
you finished the worst out of all of us at 5-5.
It was not a good show for me.
That rounds out. I couldn't remember if Wavy D did Revolution predictions, so I don't know what his record would have been. But I know he did the Forbidden Door one with us. He hasn't done a whole lot of them, but I did calculate his up-to-date 2024 records. He stands at 16-6, which is very good. You are at a very good 44-14, 30 over 500. That's pretty good. And then I am 53-5. Listen, I don't try to be a show off, but I just thought that was pretty cool. The matches got wrong that I got right. The mixed tag match, I had Willow and Ishii winning. You guys had Statlander and Hathaway. We had a few sweeps with the TNT title match, the international title match, the women's title match, the TBS title match, the FTW title match. We all swept those. We over the place with the Casino Battle Royal. I had Hangman winning. You had Rick. Wavy D predicted Bobby Lashley would come, so he was completely wrong with that. He should have gotten negative points for not even appearing, but I'm not going to do that.
It was a good guess, though. I mean, honestly.
It was. No. I agree with that. I really thought for sure we would have gotten a surprise like that, but we got Nigel McGuinness, which was still a good surprise. Let's see. You predicted the Acclaim to win the tag belts. Me and Wavy D predicted the Bucks. We all got the Patriarch. We cleaved the Patriarchy to predict them to win, and they lost. So that was not good for either one of us. And then I was the only one who predicted Danielson to beat Swerve, so that was kind of surprising. But, yeah, so there are your updated predictions. Guess what? Next week there will be another prediction show where we'll see if I can keep the odds streak going, if Jamie can come back. And
I'm gonna need you to lose every single pay-per-view for the rest of the year, and then me go perfect the rest of the year just to catch up.
Well, listen, I had 3 losses coming in, and I had 2 from All In, so I almost equaled my loss record total in one show. So hey,
I got your loss record in this show.
Listen, you're only 9 predictions behind. We have 4 pay-per-views to go. There's still time to make.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So you weren't here last week, but I introduced, before we talk about the lead into, if you look at the title of this episode, it's From All In to All Out. Before we kind of lead you to where All Out's going, I introduced a new segment last week where me and Wavy D gave a hot take. And I like to put these on the spot at random points in the show. That way you don't have this memorized and prepared. I'm going to put you on the spot here. And I have an official name for this segment now. We're going to give one hot take apiece, and I'm going to call this segment Here Comes the Money, because I have this video already prepped.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money,
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Got the
right, let's put some money down. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to bet on these hot takes. We are betting on college football. If you want to join my pool, it's $10. Winner takes all. I'll give you the link if you want. Just leave me a message, and I'll give you that link. Anyways, what is your wrestling hot take of the week, my friend?
Oh wow. I was not prepared for this. My hot take of the week.
This could be AEW. This could be WWE. This could be WCW was better than WWE and fuck Vince McMahon. Like,
All right, I got a hot take. Tony Khan is not a better. Tony Khan is a much better wrestling businessman than Eric Bischoff ever has been and ever will be. And if you would like facts, I can provide those as well. Or if you just want
I will say I agree, and it shows with the fact that Eric Bischoff has been nothing but bitter towards Tony Khan for the past several years, probably because he never got that contract that he wanted from AEW. But yeah, if you want to give a little bit of additional information, you can.
Well, I mean, let's start off with the fact that he's got almost the same, if not more, of a checkbook than what Eric Bischoff had with Ted Turner's money, and he's got Daddy's money, Tony Khan does, and he is still alive and still, for the most part, out attendancing WCW shows that were late into their tenure. And I think that you look at the overall landscape of things. Well, first of all, Rampage, as much as we give it crap for being the F show, I won't even say it's a C show. It's not on the radar. I haven't watched a Rampage in God knows how long. Just recently, it had surpassed the entire duration of WCW Thunder. That's kind of interesting. Give it another 2 years, and Collision will do the same thing. Dynamite is another 40 or 30 some odd episodes away from surpassing Monday Nitro. And for somebody that, put 50,000 people in the Georgia Dome for a Monday Nitro, and AEW has not done that for a Dynamite, WCW never did that reviews, yet AEW has done that now twice with over 50,000 people for All in London 2023 and 2024. And they're doing more stadium shows next year, something WCW did not do for any of their big shows. They just did that for Nitros, which were cool. Back in the day, they were good, and business was great. But Tony Khan has tried to find ways to elevate his brand, whereas Bischoff started cold, turned the product around, and then proceeded to kill it within a matter of 5 years. So, yes, I am going to. That's my hot take. Hot take for the week.
All right. Well, my hot take of the week, I think I'm going to go outside of the AEW landscape for a moment and say that of all the WWE shows that they have, there's Raw, there's SmackDown, there's NXT. The only show over the past, I'd say, 2 months that I've been consistently able to watch has been Monday Night Raw. I think Monday Night Raw has been a really good show for the majority of the last couple of months. It's starting to slow back down again. The Wyatt Six stuff is ridiculously dumb and kind of pointless at this point. I will say I'm not a big fan of the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre stuff, but overall, and as a complete show, I can watch a Monday Night Raw. Now, I might not be paying a whole lot of attention to the entirety of the show, but I'm not going to change the channel for the majority of the show. I'll keep the TV on. I might be focused on other things while the show's going on. But like with NXT, the only part of NXT that I give a shit about is when the women's division is on. When SmackDown's on, I don't care about really anything on SmackDown because half of SmackDown, or basically the entirety of SmackDown right now, is Cody Rhodes shows up and then the Bloodline shows up, and I'm tired of both of them. And so I think Monday Night Raw is the best thing that WWE has, and it's the reason why it's going to Netflix while everybody else, NXT and SmackDown, seemingly got a demotion from their place on TV. NXT is about to go to the CW, and then SmackDown leaves Fox and goes to USA. I don't care what anybody says. That's a demotion. You're going from a TV station that comes with every cable package to something that I don't think every household gets in USA, though I could be wrong with that. Don't fact check me and make sure I'm right. But regardless, Fox and USA are two different networks, and then you give Raw on a Netflix deal in January, or I think they're about to take Raw to the next level because I think they're going to. All the PG stuff is going to go away, I think, once the network goes, and you're going to see a very different version of Monday Night Raw than what we've seen for the past several years. Now, Monday Night Raw, to me, is still miles separated from Dynamite. I think Dynamite's the most complete weekly televised wrestling show. But for what Monday Night Raw is supposed to be, which is 3 hours of just sports entertainment with a little bit of wrestling mixed inside, it's the best version of it. Everybody likes to give Shawn Michaels like his flowers for booking really good television. I'm sorry, I watched NXT this week and it's the same storyline. It's like white guy fights black guy and black guy usually loses. Like watch NXT and that's essentially what happened. Every single story, white wrestler fights black wrestler and that's about it. Like it's not, to me, it's not entertaining outside of the women's division. And yeah, that'll be my hot take of the week. Let's finish this by talking a little bit about Dynamite last night, moving into All Out next weekend. So we get a little story progression. We know it's Ospreay and Pac. We know it's MJF and Garcia. I mentioned it earlier in the show. We got Danielson versus Jack Perry. But before we talk about Jack Perry, I want to talk about Jon Moxley. He makes his return with, I think, Marina Shafir. And basically tells Tony Schiavone, this is not your company anymore, which has the internet broken, thinking, is Jon Moxley going to work with Shane McMahon? What are your thoughts on this whole Jon Moxley return?
You know, that's a very, very interesting point that I'm not 100% sure it makes sense right now for it to lead to a Shane McMahon type of thing. It was a very intriguing promo that left a lot of questions. That's something that I do appreciate, is when you deliver a promo, pay-per-view, things like that. Sometimes having questions is a good thing. It's got us intrigued, and then we get to a backstage segment last night where Moxley beat up some jobbers, and then Marina Shafir comes in. So now seemingly she has joined Moxley, and while the thought process is that, yeah, she has now joined the Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley's been gone for 2 months, and he comes back solo with no Blackpool Combat Club Titantron. With, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, I believe that was his Death Rider theme from NJPW that he came out to.
Correct.
So no ties to Blackpool Combat Club than anything in that sphere. So from this point, it looks like Moxley is on his own with Shafir, leading towards something we don't know. But the whole "this is your company anymore" line that he had last night in the promo, very open-ended, very intriguing. I just wonder where it would go.
Yeah, but I think this gives us some, like, I think my biggest complaint about Jon Moxley for the longest of time has been he has no character. It was just he came out there, he beat the shit out of somebody, and then he left. Now it seems like he has.
I was going to say that was his character, right?
I guess it would, but like it just. I guess there was nothing to his character. It was just kind of like, and some people are okay with that, but like, it gets a little redundant after a while that you don't have some sort of story or character or whatever to or gimmick to your character. Or he comes out here now and it's just like he cuts a really good promo that's like. It leaves us wanting to see more Jon Moxley. He's been on vacation for a couple of months now, I think a month and a half or whatnot. And like leading up to him taking time off, it was like, oh, Moxley's here. That's great. Like he carried the company through COVID and he deserved his time off. But like it kind of just got redundant and that he just did the same thing time and time again. I am kind of intrigued on where this leads. And so if Moxley can intrigue me after, kind of feeling bored with what he was doing before he left for a while, I think that's a good thing to keep the fans interested because I just kind of got that feeling that unless you were like a diehard Jon Moxley fan, like him showing up wasn't that big of a deal to a lot of the other fans and that were watching AEW. Like it's just Jon Moxley again. He's just going to go out here and bleed and beat somebody up and then go home. So I'm interested to see where it leads. It's kind of interesting because Danielson is threatening to retire essentially. Like he's done as a full-time wrestler once he loses the belt. And Moxley doesn't have any form of Blackpool Combat Club ties. Claudio and Wheeler are now on a trios championship run with Pac. So, a lot of people are thinking, oh, they're just going to rebuild and make the Blackpool Combat Club bigger. Like, I could see this being like the disbanding of the Blackpool Combat Club. One, because I think that was like the brainchild of William Regal, and he's not part of the company anymore. So I don't know if they want to keep those ties. And two, with the title scenes on both tag divisions kind of filled with other competitors, it makes no sense for all four of them to kind of be in a stable if they're all going after like their own personal ambitions. And so I could see this being the ending of the Blackpool Combat Club, though I did see something earlier this morning on social media that was like Marina Shafir, Athena, that boring girl that can't cut a promo, what's her name?
Jade Cargill? I mean,
CM Punk's
sorry.
CM Punk's bald girl in WWE. What's her name?
Serena
Deeb. Yeah. With
sorry,
Claudio.
This Jade Cargill like that. Yeah, Serena Deeb definitely takes the cake for that.
with like Claudio and Wheeler and Danielson, and they just kind of like build a super stable. I don't see that being the case. Like I could see it more so Blackpool Combat Club ending than getting larger, simply because even while they were there, like Danielson would come out and have a match, and it's like he had no help. The Blackpool Combat Club just wasn't there. Like, so I don't think they really treated it like a legitimate stable for the past several months. So let's just get rid of it and move on tell a different story. So I'm intrigued with Moxley. I guess, long story short, that's what I was trying to get to. I'm intrigued by this Moxley thing, kind of wanting to see where it goes. He definitely left us asking more questions than we got answers to last night. But I think the biggest question we have, and let's talk about this. Bryan Danielson offers an open challenge. We mentioned this several times on the show already, and Jack Perry accepts. Your TNT championship, our champion, is going for the world title. And a lot of people are like, what has Jack Perry done to deserve a title opportunity? Well, he answered an open challenge. But let's just be honest. Storyline-wise, it makes sense. We go to Blood and Guts, I think it was, or no, it was Stadium Stampede. I can't remember what it was. Jack Perry pinned Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, that was at
Anarchy in the Arena. That's what it was, yeah. Anarchy in the Arena. Danielson got pinned by Jack Perry. So it makes sense from a storyline perspective, and I mentioned on social media to someone on my personal account that even if Jack Perry were to beat Danielson, which for personal reasons in the city of Chicago, to see Jack Perry win the world championship would just bring me so much joy.
I agree.
But let's just be honest, it's probably not going to happen. And if it does, then like I could see that being the point where Christian cashes in and they get the belt off of Danielson, but he doesn't necessarily look too terribly weak because, I mean, Jack Perry is supposed to be this, heel that's willing to go to whatever lengths to win, and then Christian can come in and cash and take out Jack Perry and win the belt. I don't see that happening. Obviously, heel on heel, that probably wouldn't work. But if Jack Perry were to win and we have Perry and Darby, we could continue that story. I think this is intriguing, and I think a lot of people on social media hate Jack Perry. I think for no reason. Probably for the same reason I hate CM Punk, just some form of tribalism, though CM Punk did start the whole thing. I rest my case. It's always a good day to say fuck CM Punk. The
London crowd at All In definitely did that.
But yeah, what are your thoughts overall on Danielson? Is he going to have a short title run, maybe a longish kind of title run, a couple weeks, couple months, or is he going to lose it this coming week?
I think he is going to lose it by, I want to say by Russell Dream, just because it's in Washington. It's as close of a hometown thing as you can get. And while, yes, we don't want to see the hometown guy lose, I don't know. That to me just seems apropos, or to kind of keep along with the theme that we did last year, where something ends and something else begins, wait till World's End and say, hey, now the world of Bryan Danielson has come to an end as a full-time wrestler, lost the world title. So that's one way of looking at it too. I don't think we're going to be a year-long run for him. I don't think we're going to see a 8, 9, 10-month reign either. I think we'll have a good little reign here, and then maybe we'll start over in January, going into the new year with a new champion. Maybe that's kind of the thought process for that.
Someone that we haven't seen in a while, but that I would love to see, I guess essentially retired Bryan Danielson, would be Samoa Joe. Like, there's a lot of history between them, and we haven't seen Samoa Joe in quite some time. And like he did with MJF at World's End, like, he could put on a really good story in the ring and kind of like end the full-time career of Bryan Danielson leading into next year. Though I hate to do this because I subscribe to Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful Select, and my gut, by reading what he posts, says Danielson's losing at Grand Slam. Because for whatever reason, they want to put the belt on Darby Allin. From what the rumors are saying, is that they want Darby Allin to be world champion. Which would be a perfect time to have Sting turn on him and win the AEW championship. Anyways.
I'd be all over that.
But yeah, so I don't think his reign's going to be too completely long. I would do it at Wrestle Dream just because, yeah, you don't want the hometown guy to lose, but if you can have the hometown guy lose to another hometown guy, like, I don't know. I feel like
It would make sense, yeah.
I feel like that would be the better case. Or even if it's Christian Cage, because tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't Bryan Danielson's father recently pass? So, I mean, there's that gimmick there. So, I mean, I think Christian Cage would be a good guy to put Danielson, like to retire Danielson and have that run. And then, like you kind of mentioned to me, we could have like an Adam Copeland return at some point. And I know I don't like putting the belt on old guys and repeating storylines, because we just did this for the TNT belt, but it would be a good way to kind of have Copeland return and like take the belt off of Christian Cage, and then Copeland can drop the belt to one of the young guys like he did with the TNT title. But I don't know. I think the world title scene, as we mentioned earlier, very confusing, but in a way it's a good thing because it's very unpredictable. And unlike the Continental belt, where I don't even know if Okada like ever will defend that belt ever again.
Probably not.
And I don't know. I think the unpredictability just is going to keep bringing people in. I'm excited for the back end of this year into the beginning of next year, simply because I feel like there's just so much good news coming in AEW's way. We're going to get the TV deal coming up. We're going to get, I think, if Tony Khan's hat-wearing abilities are away, I think we're getting AEW on Max. And I don't know. I think it's a good period of time to be an AEW fan. And I guess we shall see what happens. Next week, obviously, guys, we got another pay-per-view, so we'll be doing the all-out prediction show. If Wavy D wants to pop back in and make some more predictions, you're free to join us again, my friend. Y'all are free to join us in the chat as well when we do those prediction shows and tell us who you think is going to win. But, I mean, to be honest, there ain't a whole lot more that we can discuss because it's the first week after a pay-per-view. So, until next week, y'all, this has been an episode of the Beyond the Junkyard. I'm JYJ. It's K-Dog. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we shall see you next Thursday.